Oh my God, I hate the way he runs. Like the thing about the Flash is running, and if I don't like you running, there's nothing else. There's nothing. Calling out all my nerds, freaks, and geeks. It's mob time.
Don't tune in to the showtime. Go ahead and call the gang up for the one time. Rap food rhymes, got them on the line. And my life's still great, I'm doing just fine. Hands up.
What's up, y'all, and welcome to the Blerd Mob, your hub for all things black and nerdy. I am your host, Foop, joined by my co-host, Ryan. If you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any other streaming service, make sure you hit that follow button so you can get updates from the mob.
And if you superheroes, metahumans, and aliens are watching us on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on those bell notifications for future uploads, and share with a friend.
All right. You could have said speedsters. If you put speedsters in there, that would have been cold.
That you know what? Should have. It was
start over.
You
cut
speedsters.
It off. Cut it off. Start over.
One more time. Take two.
Take two. No, but as Ryan and I have alluded to, we are here today to do a mob review on the Flash movie. The Flash dropped, and I didn't look it up. Let me see. The Flash movie dropped June 16th, 2023. It's all that coding I be doing. We go.
There we go. Because you did that quick.
We go. So, as always, our mob reviews are spoiler filled. So, if you've not seen The Flash or all of The Flash, I would advise you to hit pause on this video, go finish the movie, and come back and listen to the discussion. So what's up, Ryan?
Leave a like before you go, though.
Yeah,
enjoy it.
Like the video.
Mm-hmm. Man. I've been chilling, bro. I went to the Fall Out Boy So Much for Dust tour. Pretty lovely. They had a couple of openers, didn't know them. I'm not like the biggest rock fanatic. And so I felt a little out of my element for the first half, but once it got down to Fall Out Boy, I was lit, enjoyed it. Shout out to Pete, Patrick, Andy, and Joe. Remember their names? They was cold. They gave me a good show. I enjoyed it.
That's what's up.
Mm-hmm. How you been?
I've been cool. I'm just waiting for this vacation. It's coming. The countdown is starting. I done got
prayers up for your wallet.
Yeah. I got some money put to the side, but I already know I'm prepared for DreamCon just because of last year, but San Diego, I know I'm gonna have to have some self-discipline. I already know. I might not even walk in that damn exhibition. I might run through that junk.
Because I done seen like some tours of folks who done went. They be having like $1,000, $3,000 DC statues, and they look nice. Don't
like
get me wrong.
Like those life-size statues that used to be in GameStop.
Life-size and the like 1/4 or whatever they call, like 1/6, where they be about like a foot or 2 feet tall, but they be very, very like descriptive, really great paint jobs and stuff. They be high.
I know I'm gonna get me. If anything, I know I'm gonna get me a shirt or a hoodie or something for the convention just to have like a little souvenir that I went. But I'm not prepared for what's gonna be in there. I'm not prepared for what's gonna be in there at all.
I'm going to get you a $300 Batman statue to put next to the Funko. Go on and get it.
300?
Just get it. Real nice. You're gonna need the glass IKEA case to put it in. Real nice.
Look. If something, it's gonna have to. If I buy anything out of it, it's gonna have to be something that I really, 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 really could not leave without. I'm serious.
Here's what I want you to do. When you buy something, I want you to call me and be like, Ryan, I'm about to buy something.
I'm not gonna call you with me because you're gonna encourage it. You're gonna encourage it. Look, yeah, buy it.
Look, I'll buy something right now if you buy it. I'll go buy me something right now. Right, I got some on my.
That's not the same amount of money.
I'll be like, Foop, I need to get a one company Pokeball. If you buy that statue for $200, I'll buy a quick ball right now, just for you.
That's so crazy. That is so destructive. We just
So that's
going
not what
back.
we've been doing for years.
It is, but like now that we making money, like it's on a larger scale. Before it was I buy a drink if you buy a drink. Not if I buy a $300 statue,
Look,
you're gonna buy a $100
I'll get an appetizer if you get an appetizer.
See, we used to play them games on a lower scale. We make too much money now.
Look, give it five more 10 more years. I'll get a new car if you get one. What you been looking at?
Nah, see, the games they just gonna get higher. Same mentality, but higher stakes. Like it's crazy. But nah, I'm excited. All my fits came in. Got me some new shoes. So now it's just time to put everything together and pack it up. It's gonna be a much needed vacation. That's why I'm really excited for it. It's gonna be a very much needed vacation.
I know you're gonna have fun. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I'm excited to just like this is cool and all, but just like taking a break from everything and not worrying about have to wake up and go to work or like any like responsibilities. Like I'm making sure everything is taken care of. When I step on that plane, I don't have to worry about nothing. But let's get into it. So we got a couple hot takes for the Flash. I want to start with the first one. We got to start overall and then work our way in. So how did you feel about the Flash as a whole? Part B of the question, or part A of the question, did Warner Brothers make the right decision releasing this?
Not you lagging right when you said the question. Repeat your part A.
that was you lagging.
I know. Say part A for me. We can cut it out.
Oh man. Part A was, did Warner Brothers make the right decision releasing this?
Okay. So the general question. I did enjoy it. Probably more so because I lean DC way more than I do Marvel, and it felt a little more, it felt fresher. Overall, I did enjoy the movie, even though it was nowhere near like the best movie, not even the best DCEU movie. There's like 2 or 3 others I'll definitely put ahead of it. Did they make the right choice? Yes, because they gotta end everything else for James Gunn vision to come true. I feel like it made sense. I don't think they went in depth with how much, like they kind of alluded towards the end, like, yeah, some stuff has changed. They're probably not going to change anything else. But I think they made the right choice because now I'm ready for this old DCEU that kind of was a failure to end. Let's see James Gunn vision. Let's see what's coming up in these next 5 to 10 years. Let's get it popping. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I, for the most part, enjoyed it.
I thought the movie was solid, to put it in your terms. I thought it was okay. It's definitely not the best DCEU movie, but it's definitely not the worst one I've seen either.
Yeah.
But I think with like all of the controversy and everything surrounding this movie, I think, like we said this before, like I understand like the budget for this movie was huge. So I understand why they had to put it out. But just looking at the aftermath of it and finally seeing the movie,
yeah,
it wasn't as hype as they made it in the trailer. I just want to put that out there. It was not as hype as they put it in the trailer. So that was number one. I think they took some of the high like moment scenes, cut them all together, and they cut it real nice. Cause like our reaction to the trailer was just like, yeah, it is looking pretty good. But then I sat down and watched the movie, and I was like, yeah, definitely,
I agree.
Did they make the right decision releasing it? To counterpoint your answer, they didn't really give much emphasis on it being a reset.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
So for this to be like, in words, we know that the Flash, its original purpose was to do flashback, and it was to change up the DC universe, period. Whether they were going to continue with the DCEU or move on with James Gunn's DCU, it was supposed to change up, period. but I don't think they put a lot of emphasis. They put emphasis on changing time, change things. Yes, that was there. But emphasis on this is going to change the DC universe, cinematic universe going forward. I don't think they put a lot of emphasis on that. Just to counter your point.
And yeah, because that's kind of what I was alluding to. Like, I wanted more of that. Like, I know that it was supposed to be a reset, but they didn't really focus on the reset as much. Like, they showed that it was possible, but they didn't really do much allusion to the fact, like, hey, the DC is completely changed. It's not just this one Batman. No, everything's changed, and this is the starting point.
I think the reset that's happening is on the business level and not the cinematic level. And I kind of feel like that you guys could have did the reset on the business level without the Flash. I think the only reason that this movie went out is that they spent so much money on it. They have been working on this for years with writer and director change ups, all of the stuff that's been going down with Ezra, all of the things that's been going down with the DCU and Warner Brothers and all of that. Like, I understand the pressure of spending all this money and you have to put something out, but I kind of feel like after seeing the movie, I think you guys could have just took a L on it, and I think we could have just reset with Superman Legacy that's supposed to be coming out soon and just put an end to it, cut it off, Spider-Man to it. You know, this is just a story that we were telling and we just didn't get to finish it. Let's start fresh with the DCU.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the characters that are in the movie are not showing up in the DCU.
Yeah. Because here's the funny part. Even as its own individual project, I feel like if you looked at its own individual project and not as a part of the DCU, it'll probably lower its ranking for me as well too. Because what I enjoyed about it is the anticipation for everything to start over. Does that make sense? Like, I watched the Flashpoint Paradox animated movie, and I know that it starts stuff over for the universe. So thinking from that mindset, I'm like, oh yes, finally, we finna get something new. We can completely obliterate that Superman v Batman movie from our minds. We can get all the stuff out and start over.
Not definitely. Like, if knowing that this story is an adaptation of Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, like, yes, you know that at some point this is a reset. So, like, building up to how are they going to reset this? How is Flash going to fix the time paradox? Like, how are they going to stop, like, the end of the world type thing? Like, all of that, all of those plot points, I will give them that as far as the adaptation. I will give them that. But looking at it, I kind of feel like you guys could have left it out.
Yeah.
And now just looking at the stats, like everything that's coming out now let me look at the box office stats. They are currently at $218.9 million in the box office. This was a $200 million film.
They only made $18 million in profit.
Yeah. It was getting the stats, the box office ratings for this is so bad that Fandango was doing a buy one get one free sale on movie tickets. Now, when you've heard somebody doing that,
I didn't even know that.
I didn't
even know that.
And and just to show you how much Warner Brothers was banking on this project, Michael Keaton was supposed to get a Batman movie, and Sasha Calle, who played Supergirl, was supposed to get a solo project after this. And I heard that both of them got scrapped just because of the performance of the Flash movie.
Yeah.
But when I watched the movie, my standpoint was like, why were you guys banking on this? Like, from the trailer perspective, I think I was kind of like hoodwinked, I guess. Like, okay, I see.
It was a little misleading.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, they put big emphasis on Supergirl, and she was barely in the movie.
Barely at all.
They put big emphasis on Michael Keaton, who was also barely in the movie. Like they put heavy emphasis on some of these big plot points that they didn't execute through, or and then it was like, okay, we get it why you guys are banking on this movie. But then I watched the full film and it's like, y'all were banking on this for the future of characters getting solo projects. Why were y'all banking on this?
And I know we're going to get into it because, like, the bulk of the movie was Ezra and Ezra. And to be honest, that was only okay in
Yeah.
terms of that relationship and it being the main focus. Because in my opinion, they alluded to it a little bit in the trailer, but yeah, the trailer focused on everybody else. The trailer was like hyping it up, like, oh, Supergirl here, Batman is here, like
Right.
this, like a mini Justice League, but somehow
They
you're going to make it make sense.
they made it seem like, and now seeing the movie, I know where they got this clip from. They made it seem like that shit was going down in both timelines. You remember they showed that scene of Ben Affleck's Batman riding on his motorcycle through all that destruction and stuff.
Yeah.
They made it seem like that there was shit going down on both ends, just to find out that the Ben Affleck scene was a flashback to Man of Steel.
Yeah. And a few times that we had old Wonder Woman and all them, that was like the first 10 minutes of the movie.
They showed up and left. It was a cameo for the hell of it.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go ahead and get into the weeds. Let's start with the Flash themselves, Ezra Miller. How did you feel about their performance?
Taking all the outside stuff outside of the movie, all that bias completely obliterated in terms of my explanation, like not including none of that. He was just all right. In my opinion, as a Flash, he wasn't compelling. You can obviously give me more insight on the Barry Allen character as Flash and like how he acts and his real personality, but Ezra was not that compelling of a Flash for me. Like, I understood the little jokes like, oh, am I basically the Justice League cleanup crew and I'm the backup? But he seemed a little. He didn't give me like DC Dark Hero type vibes. He really. It's like, yeah, you're sad. I understand the emotional stuff and why you're fighting for your mom. But even that didn't pull on my heartstrings like it could have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't feel that compelling as a Flash actor, in my opinion. But I also don't know what I should be expecting from the Flash. So I want your opinion on that, to be honest.
When Justice League dropped in 2017, I made everybody know that I did not like Ezra Miller as the Flash. I still don't. I never liked him from the beginning. Or liked them. I never liked them from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because his Barry Allen was childish, and Barry Allen is not the child. He does like quips and he's funny, but he's the more serious Flash.
Okay, so
He's supposed to be more mature, especially to put him in the Justice League. He's supposed to be more mature. The way that they had Ezra Miller behaving as the Flash in Justice League was more Wally West, which Wally West was the Flash in the Justice League cartoon.
Okay, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, because because of you, I went back and watched some of the animated movies, and I was like, Flash seemed more like a leader. Like he didn't give me like teenager chilling. I don't know what I'm doing vibes. He didn't give that at all from the movies I've seen. That is, it's been a minute since I watched the old Justice League cartoon, but
to me, I never liked him as Flash, but I will give them this. When he went back in time and ended up with the younger Barry Allen, and you get that juxtaposition between 18-year-old Barry Allen and how whatever age he's supposed to be now, there were moments where I saw that maturity of him maturing into Barry Allen, just being side by side with the 18-year-old. Because the
yeah,
18-year-old Barry Allen gave me exactly what I was getting from Justice League. Like, you childish, you don't take things seriously. Like, this is irritating me because this is not the Barry Allen I'm used to. And I think that kind of helped Ezra shape what this Barry Allen was supposed to be like. And I appreciate that. I appreciate them through this movie showing him growing and being a bit more mature.
right.
But still, overall, I don't like him as the Flash.
Yeah, I felt like now that I'm getting your opinion, yeah, I felt like that was a bad cast. I don't know who would have been a good one. but not even including everything else that he's done in his personal life. I just don't feel like this is a good cast for the Flash.
I don't know where they pulled that from. Honestly, he could have been anybody else. He could have been Wally West. He could have been Impulse. He could have been Kid Flash. But Barry Allen,
Kid Flash, yeah. Kid Flash. He could have been Kid Flash.
like, no.
He could have been Beast Boy.
he could have been anybody else. But I think that Ezra Miller did make the most of this performance. And if they did not include the younger Barry Allen in this movie, I don't think I would have enjoyed his character as I did. I didn't enjoy it a lot just because of my personal feelings, but he was tolerable to watch just because of that juxtaposition. And if they didn't put that younger Barry Allen in the film, I don't know how I would have felt about it.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, because it was the fact that there was a comparison and you see the younger one getting upset with like how the Flashpoint stuff work out, and seeing him like, no, we can't do this, but I want to fix this. Like, it was like, okay, this guy do got some sense. Cause like when he put the baby in the microwave during that one scene, I was like, I see what you're doing.
That whole scene was weird. That whole scene was a waste of CGI. Cause what? We have a whole scene of him disregarding all of these babies falling out the sky to get him something to eat. And I get it, yeah, you needed to replenish. But like, what was the point of that? Why the babies had to fall out? The baby unit? Out of the whole hospital, the baby unit. That was a waste. That whole scene was a waste of CGI.
They put them CGIs in there, though.
And then you put the baby in the microwave.
That was the part that got me. I was like, what's going on here? Like, this dude ain't serious. He ain't serious.
Like, it's like, no. Like, from the beginning of the movie, I was like, nothing else in this movie is going to be taken seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing else in this. And I hate the way he runs. And I hated it the whole movie. Oh my God, I hate the way he runs. Like, the thing about the thing about the Flash is running, and if I don't like you running, there's nothing else. There's nothing else.
I will say, I think that was an intentional joke, because, you know, the part where he lost his powers, he literally was like, I'm finna start up. He ran just like...
He ran like that in Justice League. I don't think it's a running joke. I think he dead seriously runs like that. And it's awful. It's awful. It's awful.
It's like he grabbing for something, like he picking plums off a tree. Like,
it's awful. Like, I don't think he did bad. It's just what you just said. I don't think he was the best casting choice for Barry Allen.
He made the most of it.
He made the most of it, but I don't think he was the best casting choice. And I told my dad this, like, they just announced who's going to be the Superman and Lois Lane for the DCU. James Gunn said it's going to be a minute before they cast Batman, which means there's going to be a minute before they cast Wonder Woman, which means there's going to be a minute before they think about the Flash again. And I just hope that they bite the bullet and just recast them. I hope James Gunn's put his foot down and was like, hey, I need a fresh face.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna lie, Henry Cavill, in my opinion, looked like a pretty good Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Gal Gadot, I enjoyed her as Wonder Woman. The first Wonder Woman movie. I think the second Wonder Woman movie was more so the writer's fault. I don't think that was really her fault.
Yeah.
But Barry Allen as Flash, Batman, they changed so much that I don't even get attached to any Batman. I enjoyed Twilight Batman for what he was, but I'm used to them being recasted, so that don't upset me. I do feel a little bad about Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill, though.
I think they just might just be too old. James Gunn's point of recasting Superman is that he wanted a younger Superman, like he is starting over. So it's like it makes sense that you want a younger actor. Henry Cavill looks a bit more mature. He's already established. Like, he looks like he's been Superman for a couple years.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah,
I hope they recast. I just don't think I didn't think he was a good casting choice when I saw Justice League, and I don't I still don't think.
Yeah. I hope I hope James Gunn vision is just on point because like things about with the MCU, some of their castings could have been better, but like Iron Man for Robert Downey Jr. Perfect.
I think they've been doing pretty good, at least for
Yeah.
me. I think they've been doing pretty good with all of the casting choices that they've done.
Yeah, like Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther, perfect. Like a lot of them were just, even though I don't like Captain America,
Chris
great
Evans did it.
casting.
Chris Evans,
Great casting.
like the OG Avengers, like the people that they pulled out was fantastic.
Pretty perfect.
And even going forward, like Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch,
pretty good.
The guy that they got for Vision.
I enjoyed Doctor Strange's actor too.
Yeah. Even with the young Avengers, like with the new people coming in, like they, to me, all of them seem pretty fitting in their roles.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that James Gunn takes some of that. I think he will. I think he will.
He need to contract out Marvel's casting caller.
They picked some pretty good actors for Superman and Lois Lane, so I think he got it. I think he got it. I think they're in the room making the best decisions. I'm not mad at it for now. But let's move on to Sasha Calle's performance as Supergirl. How'd you feel about her?
I did not know what to expect from Supergirl. Remind me, when she had the blonde hair, was that in the movie when Darkseid came and he was on Superman's family farm and she was introduced from the animated movie?
So she's been introduced for a while, like in the Superman animated series she showed up. But what you're referring to is the Superman Batman Apocalypse movie. So her what was I gonna say? Her brand is the blonde hair. Most of the times when you see Supergirl, she does have the blonde hair.
Okay, so I didn't know what to expect from Supergirl because I didn't have much of expectation. But her character, for the little bits of time we got with her, I thought she was interesting. Not gonna lie, like the whole fact that like in this timeline she was looking for her cousin, trying to save him, got caught up, and the fact that she was a little distrusting, but then she explained what the symbol meant. I felt like she was solid. I would have liked to see more of her, obviously, but I felt like she was solid.
I enjoyed her Supergirl all the way. She definitely. I'm glad that you brought up Superman Batman Apocalypse because her intensity reminded me of the Supergirl from that movie.
Yeah.
Because they did make a Supergirl show on CW, and I didn't really like that one because they kind of made her like ditzy. Like, yeah, she was doing like the Supergirl thing, but it wasn't as intense as the Supergirl that I've seen in like the animated series in the movie. So her showing up and just getting straight down to business, the intensity, the determination, that rage that she had, I was like, oh yeah, I like this. And I hate that she may or may not be moving forward with the position, but if there's any chance that they decide to do a Supergirl solo film or even include Supergirl as part as the Superman story, call her up. Let's get her. I like her.
Yeah, cause like what I got to saw, I was like, yeah, this is an interesting character. I hate to say it, some people might get mad at me. I enjoyed her a little bit more than the Batman cameo. Just
about
personally,
Michael Keaton. I think the Michael Keaton was just fan service. Like if you've seen, because Michael Keaton, I think the difference between Supergirl and Batman, how they were portrayed in the films, is like Supergirl, this is her first time hitting the big screen. So it's a lot of what are we going to expect? Where's she going to take the character? How is this going to end up in the future? Michael Keaton, we already know how he gets down as Batman. He's already had his movies. Because they were playing with the timeline thing, it made a lot of sense to bring him back. And then a lot of it was just, like fan service, like, oh shit, it's Michael Keaton.
Yeah, and honestly, I had to like do some research. I was like, did I see the Michael Keaton Batman's real life? Like he was the one in that Penguin movie and a few others. I was like, yeah, and the Catwoman one. I was like, I watched his Batman's. My dad had him on cassette. I watched them, and it made me appreciate him a little more. But Supergirl, she stuck out. Honestly,
she definitely stuck out.
honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, because talking to you is really like reminding me about how I felt about different parts. She was probably my favorite character from the movie.
She
She was,
definitely I hate that she didn't get, you know, a big part in the movie. Like they just
mm-hmm,
showed up, broke her out, she did her thing and left. But for the moments that she was in the movie, she had it.
impactful.
She had
Yeah,
it. She had it. She was
yeah.
taking it.
And she had some good character growth. Like we understood exactly why she was upset and pissed off with him.
hmm
Her forgiving them and being like, "Why did you save me?" Like it was like, okay, you make sense. You're valid. Like,
And I like how they flipped it for, because you remember in Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, it was still Superman. Like
mm-hmm,
in like he landed somewhere else, and the whole experiment, we're conducting experiments and all of them, him being like drained to the bone and all of that. It was Superman, but I like that they flipped it for Supergirl. That was an interesting twist that they took on it, and I like that they let her show her intensity.
yeah, because she was
Like
she was she was ready to she was
she
going
was
for the
ready.
killing like
She
Clark
was
Kent.
ready. She was ready to go. So I like
Yeah.
how they kept, for her story, I like how they kept some pieces of Flashpoint Paradox and then how they twisted it to make her story.
Mm-hmm. They did right by her. I'll give them that. They did right by her.
So let's talk about the Batmans that return. We talked a little bit about Michael Keaton, but at the end, we get a cameo from George Clooney from the Batman and Robin movie. So how did you feel about both of them returning?
I vaguely remember the Batman and Robin movie,
Is he
but
George Clooney is the Batman that got the nipples on his suit.
oh yeah. It ain't. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be aside from the nipples. Cool for shout out to nipples.
Now
He
shout out to
did.
nipples.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't instantly recognize him because I'm just now getting to the point, honestly, from like talking to you and being on Blur My, where I pay more attention to like actors and who they are and everything. It didn't do much for me,
hmm
but it was like, okay, cool. We got another older Batman. It didn't
I
do much
think
for me.
I think it was another fan service thing. Like, and I get it. You're playing into the whole timeline thing, and every time you change time, something's different. So why not bring back,
Mm-hmm.
the old Batmans? And I was like, okay, it's cool. It's nice to see George Clooney as Bruce Wayne. Michael Keaton, it was nice to have him back, to see the old Batmobile, the Batplane, and just him,
It was cool seeing the old Batmobile. That it looked nice.
like him coming out of retirement, suit up. He put on the old Batman suit. So like all of the touchbacks to the Batman movie was nice. I appreciated that. Just and the fact of it being Flashpoint Paradox, that another switch that they did that I wasn't mad about is that the Batman in the movie, or in the storyline, is Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's dad, who was taking on the Batman
Yeah.
position. But then they just switched it and made it another Bruce Wayne. He was still older, so they kept that. And he was he had to bring him out of retirement and everything. So I'm not mad about that plot point either. And I guess if you had to get anybody with like that wisdom, that older wisdom of being Batman, then I think it would have had to been Michael Keaton.
Yeah, and he did a good job playing like that, kind of like a mentor role. Like Batman
Mm-hmm.
is the smartest person. We normally see him as like the kind of not necessarily aggressive, but very withdrawn. But seeing him come in as more so a mentor for the Flash, like, hey, I'm gonna be patient with you. I'm gonna teach you, especially since I'm in retirement. I've grown from that. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It didn't excite me with the nostalgia aspect, but it was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't mad at it. Like we were saying before, I think the parts that they emphasized in the trailer, because they emphasized heavily on Michael Keaton and Sasha Calle as Supergirl, and I think the parts that they did show up in the movie were really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that the moments that they did have, they gave them moments to actually have an impact on the movie.
Yeah, because honestly, personally, well, I kind of agree with you. Like now that I know they had a Sasha Calle movie planned, I would have liked to see how she would have done. I would have, because I don't know much about Supergirl, but her character intro, it was nice. I would like to see what she do in her own solo. I like who her enemies are. Yeah, I would like to see that.
Yeah. I'm hoping that she gets something. And I wonder, like, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. I hope they give her
Mm-hmm.
something because she did really good.
Yeah.
So we have been talking about Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, the comic book storyline that the Flash is based off of. I have two questions in regards to this. How did we feel about the adaptation? Three questions, actually. How did we feel about the adaptation? How did we feel about the DCEU's interpretation of time travel? And how did we feel about the portrayal of the Speed Force?
The overall adaptation, my only affinity for that is with the animated movie. And it was straight, solid, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, overall, I was like, okay, I remember some parts. I was like, a lot of it seemed honestly relatively new for me from what I remember from the Flashpoint Paradox movie. Maybe I need to go back and watch it. I was like, I don't know if this was like 1-to-1,
It
but
wasn't 1-to-1.
yeah, I like not too many points was I like, oh, I remember this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of how time travel was done, it made sense. Like, especially when Buddy did the little spaghetti thing. Like, we got this line,
Mm-hmm.
but now we get a whole new line. It's not that you jumped into this point and this first part of the line is still the same. No, you got a whole new line. I was like, this is an interesting concept for time travel. I was like, okay, some stuff will be similar, but these are completely different lines. I was like, that makes pretty cool sense. Pretty good sense. The interpretation of Speed Force, for what they could do with it, it was kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. In terms of like, oh, I basically freeze time from my perspective. Now, the little orange stuff, I guess, alluding to the fact that you're in it. I freeze time from my perspective, and I'm moving at what will be my regular speed, but for everybody else is fast. I was like, okay, to depict a fast moving object, I thought it was cool. I couldn't think of a better way to do it.
So I think you might be thinking of something else. The Speed Force is that big ass dome thing that he was in with all them CGI people start showing up, and he was able to pick what points in time he wanted to travel to, that big ass dome thing.
Oh, I thought it was just his powers in general. Okay, that part, nah, that kind of sucked because I want to see him run around. I want to see him run around the planet. I'm sorry, like, didn't he run around the planet? Didn't even Superman kind of reverse time one time flying around the planet? I want to see that. I want to see this man running through Brazil, Egypt, Europe. I want to see him doing that, honestly.
So personally, the way I've usually seen the Speed Force is that he accesses a different plane, which he did. But the way that they set this one up, I didn't like it. Like, with all these, the CGI was not great. It looked extremely weird with all of like these layers of people and stuff showing up. And going back to the fact that I hate the way that Ezra Miller runs. He looked like an idiot in that damn ball running, and the way that I didn't like the way that they animated the Speed Force. The way that I usually see the Speed Force is not cosmic, but it's a different dimension between it's a different space time. Like, you're outside of space time.
Yeah.
So when I tell you that the Speed Force is representing a dimension that is outside of space time, and based on what they showed us in the Flash, does that look like Speed Force to you? Does that look like a dimension outside of space and time?
It looks like a guy standing in the front of a lecture hall. Like how like the people were stacked up. It looked like it was like in a college lecture hall. And I was like, yeah, that part was trash boo-boo garbage. I'm not going to lie. Because I want him to either run around the world or should do something like you like show me like a whole nexus of galaxies and I'm running through like a different plane.
Right. It's supposed to look a little bit, I'm trying not to say the word cosmic, but it's supposed to look a bit more out of pocket. Like, yes, you can see these different timelines, but everything's moving so fast, like that everything blurs together. What they did, like on the CW show The Flash, it was represented with like, you could see like the lightning bolts of him running running fast, and it was blue and everything was moving fast. You could pinpoint the different timeline. Like how they did it was like, yeah, I like it
Yeah.
gave Speed Force. This didn't give Speed Force.
And I think what sucked is like, I think what they was trying to do, if I had to play devil's advocate, like they slowed it down for us, but it didn't give the idea that this man is just running past light speed to even do this.
Right.
It didn't allude to speed. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like
it just gave that we running and he can pick moments in time. Like I get it, it was supposed to represent time travel. One, it looked like he was running backwards. And then I was like, okay, if we're going, and then Galvin was saying like maybe he's running backwards because it looks like he's running backwards because he's running backwards in time. And I was like, I guess it felt dumb to me.
I thought, I kind of agree with Gavin. I thought that was either alluding to that, or it's kind of like when you start seeing like a fan move really, really, really fast, but then because it's moving fast, if you was recorded on the camera, it look like the fans are like moving backwards and slowly and kind of flickery. I thought that was kind of trying to do that.
If that's what they were trying to do, they did not exceed. They did not.
Boo-boo.
It looked awful. From what I've seen out of the Speed Force, from Justice League, Young Justice, Justice League, Flashpoint Paradox, the CW show, all of the ways that they've done the Speed Force has all made sense as it relates to the Flash, how he even gets into the Speed Force to begin with. It makes sense. Like they all have their differences, like they all don't look the same, but it makes sense. This right here was completely left field for me. And not saying that, doing something left field is wrong, but it was left field and it was off-putting to me.
Yeah. I would agree. It looked like it was a means to an end, like they had to do something, but they could have picked something a lot better. Like I honestly would have just liked a whole bunch of screens like running past him and actually depicting him running. Because it's like, for him to be the Flash and he's supposed to be the biggest runner, honestly, we didn't see Ezra run much. If that makes sense.
Well,
we saw run around.
Well, they did lose their powers. Like once he finally got back in time, he did lose his powers.
But even when we got to see the powers from the third person, when he looked at the other Ezra from a different timeline, like we got to see that enough. But then like Speed Force is like, yeah, we didn't get much of that. We saw it in the Zod fight, but I guess I would have expected more.
You mean like when he slows down time?
Yeah, like it just didn't give. It didn't give.
I feel
I might not be expecting. I might not be explaining it right.
Like the slow down moments, like I assuming that you were expecting something on the level of like how they did X-Men with like Quicksilver.
Yeah. Yes. I wanted all of that. That's exactly it.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
If that's the comparison, I definitely think they asked that on that.
Yeah. Like Quicksilver, he made me feel like, okay, yeah, this man is a speedy. Like he's killing the game. He running past everybody. He dodging bullets, pushing them over. Like Ezra, kind of like everything stopped and it made sense. And then like the dude who got stabbed and the other one was like, I didn't know I could get stabbed. Like I guess it kind of alluded to it, but yeah, Quicksilver was better done.
Yeah, I get that. Now the interpretation of time travel, I think when they finally got to Michael Keaton's Batman, I think he did a good job explaining it with like the spaghetti noodles. What I feel like doesn't make sense, and this is like another diversion from Flashpoint Paradox. So the thing about Flashpoint Paradox is that when Barry Allen went back in time, he was the only Barry Allen that existed. Also, with him being in a timeline that he wasn't supposed to be in, like it was not only was it crumbling because of, physical forces, because you had the war between the Themyscira and Atlantis. It was crumbling from a time perspective. Because you remember at the end, like the world was getting erased, like everything was turning to white and he had to run so fast to escape that. So we get the physical part with Zod showing up with like the end of the world thing, and the end of the world is inevitable. Like I was fine with that part because it was the same in the comic books, but we didn't see a lot of repercussions. Is that the word?
Repercussions.
Repercussions. I'm trying to say reparations and repercussions at the same repercussions.
She wants some money from the government. She ain't even talking about the movie no more. What you talking about?
I was like, reparations. Repercussions. I didn't see a lot of repercussions of Barry being in the timeline that he wasn't supposed to be in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big part of time travel. That what happens when you exist in a dimension or you exist in a timeline that you're not supposed to be in.
Yeah, like especially after seeing like the Spider-Man movie, like ain't none of y'all glitch, were none of y'all like looking translucent. There was, or like with the Multiverse of Madness movie was like stuff like bending in front of you. Like we ain't really see none of that. You're right, we ain't see none of that. We ain't see time and space get distorted like at all.
Right. And Flashpoint is supposed to be this big event, like we talked about how like even at the end, even when you think you fixed everything, you still change some stuff. And I really think they did not really put the emphasis on what this Flashpoint paradox thing was supposed to be about.
Right.
They didn't. I don't think they really put emphasis on it because you got two Barry Allens walking around like it's normal. Nothing's getting messed up. Zod showing up, but like, yeah, that's the physical thing. Like that was going to happen to that universe regardless. But where are the repercussions on you changing time, you messing with a force that you shouldn't, you using the speed force to change time, to create different timelines? Like where are
like
those
these guys touched each other and they didn't like obliterate and cause an atomic explosion or nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody, like you said, nobody phased out of existence or anything like that. So I feel like as far as it being an adaptation of Flashpoint Paradox, I think it failed heavily on that end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this was just a time travel story just for the hell of it.
Yeah, and it didn't really even focus heavy on the time travel enough to where you could see like what repercussions and issues could come from it. Because even though we ended off of him going to another timeline, like based on how Batman explained it to him, there still should have been another one of him. He would have had to like off himself because it's not like he could get to his original timeline or string of spaghetti, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like...
And then, what was I about to say? That, and I think what they like erased from the movie is that at first they made it seem like because older Barry traveled back in time, that Zod showing up and all of these bad things are happening. But then you get to the end and you realize that all of this stuff was supposed to happen anyway. Like this stuff wasn't happening because you went back in time. This was this timeline's fate regardless.
Exactly.
So then it's like, okay, where are the repercussions? Where are the consequences?
Where are the What was the reason?
What was the reason?
What was the reason?
What's the consequence that we get George Clooney as Batman instead of Ben Affleck? Like what really happened? Like what really went down? And that's just going back to my point of like, why even release this movie in the first place?
No, I feel honestly, because we've had some off the phone conversations. Now that we're really talking about it, this movie was lacking in a lot of ways. It was lacking.
Like for
it was
real.
lacking.
Like
it was lacking.
Man.
It was pretty lacking. They could have pushed out this next Aquaman and canceled this. They could have.
My Justice League Flashpoint Paradox is one of my favorite DC storylines, and I think the Flash did a good job adapting pieces of it. But the center point of what Justice Flashpoint Paradox is in itself, I don't think it met those expectations.
They didn't deliver the full package.
Nah. So
no, I feel you.
The next hot take I had is that at the end of the movie, we get this big multiverse timeline scene where it's Barry versus Evil Barry. And we get all of these, we get more of these big ass domes of different colors that's doing cameos of older actors who have done previous projects. Like we get Christopher Reeves as Superman. We get Nicolas Cage, who was supposed to have his own Superman project. He didn't get one. And then
I thought that one was funny.
they did a couple more people, but like it was just all of. How did you feel about all of those cameos in that big multiverse scene? Did you feel like it was even necessary?
I felt like at that point, that was the only time that the Speed Force kind of gave like the what you were saying cosmic vibe. It was kind of weird though because I was like, everybody's looking at him. I was like, do they see like time being ruptured and they're finna like come save the day? Like honestly, I thought in that moment like all these Supermans and everybody was just finna like come in and do something. Honestly, but it seemed kind of pointless.
It just seemed like cameos for the sake of cameos to me.
Playing on nostalgia, yeah.
I think a lot of this movie was like fan service. Because Nicolas Cage didn't even get his Superman movies. So why the hell are we showing Nicolas Cage as Superman? And like I seen like the sub notes and it was like, oh, we were just giving the audience a glance of what the Superman as Nicolas Cage movie would have looked like. But I was like, so? What? Why? You're not gonna make it. So what?
Hey, this is the birthday cake you could have got. Oh, really? You're not getting it, though.
You're not getting it. We're not getting it. Like,
why even tell me to possibly upset me?
What's that movie? Why would you show me something if I couldn't have it?
Yeah, like what? Honestly, it was kind of pointless because I forgot about the Nicolas Cage potential movie. That was kind of pointless. I thought they just did it because it was cool. Like honestly, because Nicolas Cage was at the game showcases, I was like, maybe Nicolas is just networking with everybody. Maybe he's trying to make a comeback. I don't know.
It just goes back into my complaint of how they did the Speed Force because I understand them trying to do something new with the Speed Force. Like, how would we interpret the Speed Force in the DCEU? Sure, but that's not what I was expecting. Like, you guys had ounces on ounces on ounces of material on how to create the Speed Force. This wasn't it.
Yeah.
And then once we got to that scene when it was Barry versus Evil Barry, and he kind of gave me Savitar vibes, but it made me think, like, who's the real antagonist in this movie?
Himself. You were the enemy all along.
But it was like, yeah. But
that's literally what it was. I am my own enemy.
But this goes back to my complaint about where they failed with adaptating Flashpoint Paradox. Because even in Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, you still had Reverse Flash trying to mess things over. Like, the reason why, some of the things that was happening to Barry in this new timeline is because Reverse Flash also went there and was messing with them. So it was like, you have that obvious Flash is trying, like, yes, Flash is the villain because why you go back and change all this time? But then you have Reverse Flash on the end, like, being that obvious antagonist. And so I just feel like if it was Evil Barry supposed to be the one manipulating the events and stuff, I feel like maybe we should have got more of him. If it was going to turn out that the guy who pushed Barry out of the Speed Force to begin with was Evil Barry, shouldn't there have been like a little bit more input from him, maybe?
Yeah, like honestly, I was also expecting like a bigger fight or something. Like seeing these dudes run 1,000 miles per hour, like beating each other down or something too. Now that I'm thinking about it, because is Evil Barry Reverse Flash like
No.
lore wise? Like
no,
so yeah, that was a missed opportunity.
I think this movie would have been a perfect opportunity for them to even introduce Reverse Flash, because after the movie they told everybody that it was Reverse Flash that killed his mom, so why not just put it in the movie? It wasn't a surprise to me. That was like, oh yeah, Reverse Flash killed Barry's mom, and I was like, oh yeah, and the sky is blue. Like, we know that already, but why not just put that in the movie?
Yeah, because honestly, I forgot that little bit of lore. But like when I was at the movies, I was like, oh, is Barry just going to find out that other Barry is the one who actually killed this mom and blah, 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 blah? Because I kind of was making that connection, but we sure didn't get Reverse Flash in there to do that.
So, I don't know. It's just going back to my point that whenever they get to the Flash, when they want to start building out the Flash for the DCU, I hope that James Gunn looks at the bigger picture, looks at all of the Flash stories, and creates a Flash in the DCU that, to me, makes sense. I hope the casting fits. I hope the story fits. I hope I hope it's solely the Flash, because just going back to our point, it was the outer elements that gave this movie the oomph, and not the Flash himself.
Yeah, and I want James Gunn to avoid one of the biggest flaws of DCU. They try to use too many people. They try too hard to compete with Avengers. When no, you need to build out your individual characters. Because even in this movie, just being honest, it was a little overwhelming with how many characters they introduced. And
it was too many people. We got the Flash, Alfred, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman shows up, Michael Keaton, George Clooney, Supergirl, Zod. Like
you ain't get to build any attachment with anybody for real, except for the two Barrys. And let's just be honest, Barry wasn't that compelling as a Flash character, so it's kind of I'm pretty sure James Gunn, that's what he's going to try to fight against, but
that's even if he gets to the Flash. The rumor is, and I don't know how true this rumor is anymore, based on all the news that has come out after this. The rumor was that James Gunn's plan is supposed to lead towards Crisis on Infinite Earths, and part of that you do need the Flash,
right?
So I don't know what part in his plan will start getting the Flash, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I like that he's focusing on some characters that we haven't really seen before, like the Authority. The Batman is something like we've seen Batman, but I think what I'm excited for is the introduction of Damian Wayne.
We haven't gotten a good Robin since the Batman who got featured on this Flash movie, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
So, and then them doing the history, it was a Themyscira show that's supposed to be pre-Wonder Woman. So then you get into Hippolyta, possibly get into Hippolyta and the rest of them.
Yeah.
Artemis and things like that. Maybe not Artemis, but I don't know. I'm excited to see who he brings to the front lines. He talked about, I saw something about Zatanna. I saw something about Lobo. So it looks like he might be.
Yeah, wasn't Aquaman supposed to become Lobo? He's getting recasted as Lobo or something? That was the rumor?
That was the rumor, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that he's playing with he's digging into the DC universe and pulling out some different characters to tell the story that he's telling.
Yeah.
Because the DCEU went straight Justice League and jumped the dark side, and it's whoa, wait a minute.
There's so much that comes before that.
Why are we jumping straight to dark side?
So much that comes before that.
But
Batman and Family Alone storylines could do a whole lot of damage.
Honestly. Or if we could have just explored each character individual, like you were saying, how Marvel started. We explored the heavy hitters individually before we got to Avengers. Iron Man had 2 movies. We had already seen Thor. We already seen Captain America. We had got introduced to Hawkeye and Thor, and we got a good introduction of Black Widow in Iron Man 2. So when it was time, we knew who Loki was. We knew who the antagonist was going to be, how he was coming. So when it came down to Avengers, it was just, how do we take all of these people we building up these stories and these past elements, and how do we integrate it and make it one big story?
Exactly.
You don't make Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and then hop into Justice League. That's weird.
Exactly, because I want to see all the characters. I want to see the big three. I want to see all of them come out. I want to see some Martian Manhunter, only because I'm interested to see how he looks. I want to see some Green Arrow. I want to see Robin and Batgirl. I want to see everybody.
I'm also excited for the Green Lantern show that's supposed to be coming with James Gunn's DCU. So I'm excited on how he's gonna build out the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah.
So
Because I know you said you didn't care for the recent animated movie much. I thought it was kind of cool.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't watched it yet?
Because it's with I have no idea why Warner Brothers and Max does this, but you guys own the content. So why, when the movie comes out, y'all just don't put it on the streaming service? I gotta wait weeks, months after y'all done release the movie for it to show up on the streaming service, and then by then I done forgot about it.
I'm sorry, Food.
That's my only pet peeve. Because the movie comes out, but it doesn't go straight to HBO Max. But it's like, you guys have all, that's y'all.
Basically, they killed the hype for you, because I didn't even know when the original drop was. I just saw it on HBO Max. So it was like I can watch
and I
it now.
can guarantee you that when it showed up on HBO Max is not when that movie actually dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that.
Oh man.
So, but that's all I had for the Flash. Did you have anything else, Ron?
James Gunn, save the day, please, or we're gonna all despise you.
I think he's gonna do a pretty good job. I think whenever they spin the block on Flash, I think it'll be a minute before they spin the block on Flash.
Yeah.
I saw some things on Twitter about the writer for the Flash was writing the second, the prequel or sequel. And by the way that this movie performed, I don't think you get in that sequel, big dog.
Yeah. Everything's reshaping. It's over with.
Whatever they were banking on this movie to do, they're scrapping it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's dropping on streaming in a couple weeks, so that tells you another thing.
Yeah, dang, it's because it's only been in movies for less than a month, ain't it?
See.
Ooh.
So like, I don't know. I think they could have kept this one, and I would hate to get to Aquaman and feel the same way.
Me too, because Aquaman was the one I was enjoying the most, I think.
So, I think they're putting these movies out because they've invested so much in it, and I get it, but like, I hate that they bank so much on this movie. I do hate that though.
Yeah. Off topic, is the lady who got cast as Harley Quinn, because I love her. You think they're going to recast her in the new DCEU?
I think they're going to keep her because James Gunn kept her. So when they first did the first Suicide Squad movie, that wasn't under James Gunn. And then when they did the Suicide Squad, which is the James Gunn movie, she was the only one out of her and Viola Davis. They were, if I stating this correctly, they were the only two from the first one that stayed on the cast. So I think he's going to keep her.
Because I love her as an actress. She's in Barbie Girl too, so shout out to her.
But it all goes back that it depends on when they put her in. Because Margot Robbie, she's also getting old. So how many years can you wait to come back as Harley Quinn?
True. Because if they waiting 5-10 more years, yeah,
she might be done.
Yeah.
So they might have to bring somebody in new for her. Well, it's on another episode of what's gonna happen to the DC universe. But if there's nothing else, let's go ahead and shut this down. Once again, I want to thank you, Ryan, for joining me on an episode of the Blur podcast. I want to thank everybody for watching in or listening, whether this is your first time or your 50th time listening. The watches and listens are always appreciated. Make sure you check out our links in the description to support the mob. You have 3 ways to support the mob: through our affiliate link for Entertainment Earth, get you some Funko Pops, some statues, whatever your nerdy heart desires. Or you can head over to our affiliate link on Right Stuff Anime, get you some anime box sets, some DVDs, some anime statues as well. They're having a sale, so make sure you guys go check that out.
Right Stuff birthday sale.
Yep. Or if you are not interested in the last two websites and the merchandise that they sell, you can give us a direct donation by clicking on our Ko-fi link. Our Ko-fi link, all of our donations will be used for equipment, software, and everything that is needed to make the Blerd Mob podcast a production. So make sure you guys support the mob. Also, make sure to follow us on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram at the Blerd Mob Pod. We're on Twitter at the Blerd Mob. And we're on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at the Blerd Mob Podcast. And once again, make sure you like the videos, subscribe to the channel, and hit those bell notifications for future uploads. And with that being said, this is the mob checking out. Peace. I think they could have did a lot with the series had it not came out when it did. Because I'm looking at like media that's come out now where people is just like, boom, this is how it is, this is how you're gonna get it. Like I talked about She-Ra. Arcane is a big example.